This is Trophy Gold, the Ghost of Mistmoor Part 2. We're going to just dive right in because we met yesterday, so we shouldn't need to do too much recap. I will say what was happening immediately at the end of last session, which was Adrian's character, Sister Reyna, was using some vermin repellent to get rid of an infestation of bookworms in the library of Mistmoor Manor. It seemed that the young woman in the white dress with the raven hair, who we think is the ghost, was very excited that the books are going to be rescued. It seems like she likes this space quite a bit. And in fact, Talbot, I believe, found, or maybe it was Mouse, but one of you found a book with a poem being written next to the chair where she was found sitting. And she also noted, interestingly, that Sister Reyna looked familiar to her as she was watching Sister Reyna do the vermin repellent. I took that to mean that maybe Sister Reyna had an ancestor or something that used to be in this land, or maybe there's something else going on. I don't know. But in any case, we'll figure out what it means. And let me remind you of the set goals because those are important. So right now we have 2 set goals on the ground floor, on the ground level. One is inside the manor and one is out in the courtyard and in the garden. The courtyard and garden set goal is quite simply to find a hidden treasure stash. That is ultimately what you're here to do. And then the set goal in the house on the ground floor is to find, well, let me specifically read it so I don't misstate it. Learn the location of the vault. So that's important because we know there's this vault that allegedly contains Lord Blaine's inheritance. We'll see about that. You also know the set goal for the upper level, which is to learn how to enter the vault, a different thing, but nevertheless important. And then you also happen to get a little bit of the dungeon level as well. And you know that the set goal in the dungeon level is to learn how to escape the vault. All 3 pieces feel really important to the vault exploration, whatever that happens to be. We also have temporal set goals here. One that will take place in the evening, one that will take place in the middle of the night, and one that will take place in the wee hours of the morning. The evening set goal is, find it, learn the story of Regine and the Raven. So we know some things about Regine already. We know that there's a painting of Regine in the portrait gallery on the 2nd floor, flanked between 2 paintings that have been shredded. There are nameplates underneath all 3 of them. Regine's is labeled, and then the other 2, one says Reverie and one says Rebecca. We also know that the Raven appears in the painting with Regine, but only if you know how to look at it correctly. We also have some indication that the Raven may have convinced Regine to trap the maid in the mausoleum, and the maid eventually died as a result of that. So out of character, you know there's a story with Regine and the Raven. In character, you're learning some things about Regine and the Raven, but that's kind of where we're at with that. So with all that said, I think we'll just pick up with the young woman in the white dress, having just identified Sister Reyna as someone she recognizes. She goes for a book on the shelf, and you see her hand pass through the book. And she says, oh. You can see her concentrating. And she manages to materialize just enough to get her hands around a book and pull it off the shelf. And she opens it and she says, I think those creatures are gone. And then the book just falls through her hands again. She says, those creatures are gone and the library is saved. Thank you. This is the only room in this entire dreadful house that I enjoy being in. And she takes up her candle and she floats away backwards into the shadows. So, Sister Reyna, what are you thinking or doing right now?
I think I'll take a look at the book that she dropped.
Very interesting. The book is a journal contemporary to the time of the Mistmoor family, from the dates. Mouse, what are you doing right now?
I think Mouse looks at Talbot and just says, it's getting a little harder to deny that this may be a ghost.
I agree, good sir. Clearly, our hostess is of the ethereal persuasion, but it seems she's leaving us clues to help aid her.
If that is the ghost of Regine, what I have learned crawling through those tunnels is that we should be very wary.
True. Perhaps there's some other useful knowledge here among the books. Jason, I'd like to spend a token to locate a treasure within the library.
The book that you find that's most interesting is a book of lineages and genealogy for local noble families in the region, but going back some centuries, so therefore of interest to the right buyer. 1 gold to the right buyer.
Perfect.
So the library, so Sister Reyna, I don't know how careful you're going to be reading that book or not, just let me know, but at a glance, it's a journal.
I think Sister Reyna sits down in the chair that the ghost appeared to have sat in, and kind of where's the candle?
The candle
Did it disappear.
The candle and the ghost appear to be gone. Yeah.
Okay. I think I sit down there and kind of start reading, really trying to figure out if there's anything in there that helps us know more about the story here.
You can do a hunt roll. I was about to say information move.
Yes. I think that's probably just one regular one. It's a 6. Good start today.
Yeah, it is a good start. Take your token. The journal is...
Can I can I spend 3 tokens to accomplish the evening set goal and learn something about the story?
Oh, so here's the thing. You were about to get it by reading the journal, so you don't need to spend the tokens.
Okay.
Okay. I'll just stop you there. Because you rolled so well, and also this was the right thing to do. We'll come back to what you learned. It's going to take a moment, but hold that thought. Mouse, I don't think there's anything else of value in the library for you. What are you up to? I will remind you, Mouse, that despite the fact that you think that there is a real ghost here, and it seems like there is a real ghost here, there are also people here. Because it seems like there are maybe someone trapped you in the mausoleum, and so yeah, and also there's someone's burned a fire recently, so yeah,
and especially witnessing
horses. We don't know what happened to horses, right? So
witnessing what we just witnessed with Regine, she does not seem to have enough control over her corporeal form to probably have shut a door and dropped a latch. She just barely got that book off the shelf. I guess there's an argument to be made that maybe she could have expended all of her energy locking us in that mausoleum. So yeah, I think Mouse is gonna kind of just wander out and go back to like, I checked on the other rooms on this floor and saw that they're bedrooms, but I want to start doing like a slightly better, like those I just kind of pushed the door open and been like, all right, a bedroom, next room. I want to start kind of poking around a little bit deeper.
Let's go room by room then. Just going by the numbers on the map, just tell me where you're starting.
Yeah, let me see. Upper level. So we were 25 was the library.
25 is the library, yeah.
See, I think I would go down and then go up that little hall that's kind of directly north of us. So probably do like 27 and then maybe 30.
All right. I'll start you in 27. So that is a bedroom. This was obviously a woman's bedroom. That's just what the module says. I don't know why we should think that necessarily. In addition to, maybe I'll do a paint the scene on it. In addition to the standard bedroom furnishings, the room contains a writing desk and several bookshelves as well. That's what you see at a glance.
I think I would probably take a look at the writing desk and the bookshelves to see if there's anything of interest.
Yeah, go ahead and do a hunt roll.
I mean, I'm being stealthy, but I don't think that would necessarily add to searching this room. So let's do one die. That is a 4.
We will come back to that. Talbot, what are you up to?
Well, after finding that book of genealogies, it seems very interesting to me for my personal studies, and I'm wondering if perhaps there is anything in that book that could give us clues to our goal.
Yeah, I don't think so. It's mostly like it's like going back even like older than the Mistmoor family. Like it's really really like ancient stuff. Yeah.
Right. In that case, I'm gonna try. So what we saw where the ghost flew away, where she left the room, right?
Yeah,
I'm gonna try to
sort of like in the northerly direction. Yeah.
Okay, yeah, I'm gonna try to follow that path and see maybe if she left any more clues behind.
Okay, sounds good. You don't see anything at a glance, but there is a door right there. So
I'll go through there. I'll take a look.
inside, you find what appears to be, better get my numbers right, what appears to be a laboratory of some sort. This is the tower. This is the second level of the tower. This level of the tower was obviously used as an alchemical laboratory, but all the glassware has been shattered and the work tables are broken and burned. The stone walls have been blackened by some sort of explosion. A human skeleton in the remains of some sort of like ornate robe is slumped against the wall in the northwest corner of the room. What do you do?
First, can I spend a token to acquire another treasure?
Absolutely. We'll come back to that. Sister Reyna, what you've learned so far is that the journal belongs to a woman named Yocasta. And as best you can tell, Yocasta was the new wife of the old Lord Mistmoor. There's a little more to learn, but we'll get back to it in a bit. So, Mouse, take your token. Going through the shelf and the bookshelves and the writing desk, just kind of taking a look at things, you'll notice that all the books are poetry, and based off the notations in the books, the poems were written by someone named Reverie. This is one of the names in one of the shredded portraits. it seems that Reverie, whoever she was a pretty prolific author of poetry. There's quite a lot of poetry written by her here, and a little bit of prose. At a glance, her poetry seems much better than her prose. You know, they're not the same skills. And that's sort of what you can kind of see there, just as you're kind of like just tossing through things. As a general matter, I don't think there's anything else of value or interest in this space, except to say that, and this is sort of the is something terrible. Reverie's poems get much bleaker and more forlorn as time goes on. This person started as a sort of very optimistic, hopeful person, but it became much, much darker as it progressed.
As someone with an MFA in poetry, I appreciate that the terrible thing I found was poetry.
Indeed, indeed. Increasingly dark poetry. What would you do after that?
I think if it looks like it's pretty much just poetry, I'm gonna head probably to the next room. I think I would go across the hall to 30.
Okay. This is another bedroom. It's simply but well furnished, I would say. Everything seems to be in pretty good order. Interestingly, as compared to the last room, there are no personal effects that would indicate that this is someone in particular's room, which means it was probably a guest room of some sort.
That makes sense.
Otherwise, doesn't seem too enticing.
All right. Yeah, I think I would just continue along then and keep checking these rooms out.
Let's go up to 28 then. This is another bedroom. The walls of this bedroom are completely undecorated. The furnishings simple and functional. A couple of things stand out though, just because it is such a simple, functional room and there's not much in here. One, there is a bird perch in the window. And two, on an empty vanity table, or an otherwise empty vanity table, there is a human skull staring into the mirror. The mirror has streaks of blood on it. That's what you see.
All right, so that's a little
It's very simple, plain room.
a little disconcerting.
Do you go into that room and search further?
Oh yeah, I do.
How so?
I think I would first be drawn, particularly with my background, my cult background. The skull looking into the mirror is definitely the most intriguing part to me. So I think I would go and see like if there's anything about the vanity that like maybe there's like a hidden compartment or just like something in a drawer.
Yeah, I like it. Do your hunt roll.
I guess the one pitch I would make is that if it is something hidden, I do have deception.
Yeah, go for it. I'll take it.
That is another 4.
Mm-hmm. The skull is probably a man's skull based off the size of it. There are streaks of blood on the mirror, as previously noted. Funny thing though, as you, this is maybe the terrible thing. As you kind of look a little closer, this is the deception part, I think. It's not blood. It actually smells sweet, not like dried and metallic. And in fact, Yeah, it smells sweet. It looks like blood, but it smells sweet. What do you do? Put your tongue on it.
I mean, not yet. That thought had crossed my mind. I think I'm going to reach out and touch it to see, like, does it feel relatively fresh?
It's pretty tacky still, yeah. And it appears to be like some kind of like you even get some seeds, like some kind of berry juice concoction made to look like streaks of blood. I mean, it clearly is meant to look like a hand being drawn across the mirror.
All right, I'm gonna lick my fingertip and see what it is.
Confirmed. It is mixed berry concoction. Also, side note, mixed berry is the worst flavor of anything. I always get upset when I go somewhere to buy something and all I have is mixed berry left. Like mixed
It is like I would much rather have strawberry or blueberry as a straight up flavor.
Stand. You know, take a stand. Like tell us the berry that you're interested in, right? Anyway, Sister Raina, you continue reading. Turns out that Regine, who Yocasta refers to as that terrible brat, Regine, was given a raven for her 15th birthday. This is about halfway through the journal. This is about where you're at. Meanwhile, Talbot, you spent your token and you do in fact find a treasure. You find in this alchemical laboratory a leather roll of tubes. Most of the tubes are cracked and emptied out, but one is still intact, and it has a little label affixed to the neck of the tube, which says, revitalize. And there's a little silvery liquid in it.
Oh, interesting. That's perfect. Actually, I was going to go to the alchemical table next. I wanted to look into what sorts of chemicals were being used. Like what was the alchemist's goal here with all these chemicals and tubes?
Do you have an appropriate skill?
Artifacts, maybe?
No, I don't think that quite hits it. You can do a hunt roll with one token or with one die, though.
Maybe transformation?
I'll take that. That's good. Yeah.
Okay, cool. Hunt 2. One and a 4. Get a token, but encounter something terrible.
Indeed. I might need to research this just a bit to see what the answer is. So we'll come back to that in a moment. Mouse, what do you do after you realize that someone's clearly like trying to scare you here? Or playing.
Yeah, that's a little. Or someone's just a very gothy teenager in this building. But so obviously something's up. I do think with all of this talk of the Raven that we've been hearing, I do want to go over and look at the bird perch and just see if there's anything over there of interest.
Yeah, interesting. I'll just tell you what you find without a roll needed. It is a bird perch. The window is ajar, possibly to let the bird come and go as it pleases. And right outside the window, there actually is quite a tall tree that reaches the window as well. You notice this only because of your profession. Nothing else to really know.
I think while I'm in here, this feels like maybe an interesting room to spend a token to get a treasure.
We'll come back to that. Sister Raina, you're getting near the end of the journal, and Yocasta is quite fed up with Reverie. Regine rather. Regine is Regine was given the raven as a pet, and it is causing a lot of consternation in the household. Essentially, ever since getting the raven, Regine has started to her behaviors become quite deranged, and Yocasta shows lots of relays lots of stories of Regine's deranged behavior. And this kind of connects up with Talbot, what Talbot's trying to figure out. Yocasta is a mage, and she has a laboratory, and she's trying to come up with a concoction that would reverse whatever madness is afflicting Regine. She's brought up the idea of taking the Raven away from Lord Mistmoor, believing that the Raven is somehow causing this to happen, although Yocasta doesn't know how exactly. And but it seems like Lord Mistmoor is kind of an absent father, not really, thinking it's all just a bunch of drama. So that's sort of like what is going on. And so Talbot, that's a bit of your answer. And I think you and Sister Reyna can confer on this since you're right next to each other in terms of where you're at. Essentially, Regine was afflicted with some kind of madness, and whoever ran this laboratory, it's Yocasta apparently, was trying to come up with a way of reversing it, some kind of medical treatment, some kind of potion that would reverse it. You find notes to that effect and things like that, right? How close she got, unclear. The journal kind of ends a little, the journal ends because it's the end of the physical book. So there may be more to the story, but this book is done. So,
does the book look like it was damaged in an explosion or anything? Or?
No, the book was actually found on the shelf in the library.
Okay.
It's fine. There was some kind of
book.
explosion in the laboratory, though. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I let Sister Reyna know. Talbot points out, this alchemical laboratory. It's fascinating, and I'm kind of curious about the skeleton too. I'm going to look at it and see.
Well, let's talk about that. This is because you got a 4 roll. As you are kind of, we'll say you're standing in the doorway talking to Sister Reyna, maybe sharing all the information you have. Sister Reyna, you see the skeleton floating behind Talbot. It's wearing these sort of ornate robes, and it's sort of gliding toward Talbot. What do you do?
I think she's kind of still lost kind of in the reading, and then sees that and gets up and careful, and kind of slowly goes in that direction, hand on the sword at the side.
Yeah. Talbot, you'll turn around and see it coming at you. It is kind of lunging at you. It doesn't have any weapons or anything, so I don't know how dangerous it actually is, but it's just sort of kind of reaching and lunging and scraping at you with bony fingers. What do you do?
Well, I mean, honestly, if a skeleton is going to come at me with all claws bared, I've got to react in some way. Was I correct, Ed? You can spend 3 tokens at once to just resolve a scene or resolve an issue?
There's to solve the set goals.
Okay.
Right.
Okay. So it had nothing to do with combat. Okay. I mean, in that case, Talbot's, I'm going to lash out with my shining knife and try to take down the skeleton.
Sister Reyna, are you going to help out?
Yes.
Okay. The skeleton has no weapons, so it's not extremely dangerous. Because of that, it's only to start, it's only a 6 endurance, so it's not even that tough of a monster. But also, it only hits you if your weak point comes up twice. So do say how you're vulnerable though, and then roll your weak point.
I think Sister Reyna kind of miscalculated how quickly it would reach Talbot, so I think she's kind of quick on her feet, so she might stumble or something if everything goes wrong.
Talbot is he's just lashing out. He's not really even thinking his attack through, so he's overextending himself and leaving himself wide open to any retaliation.
Sounds good. So what are the weak points do we have?
Mine's a 5.
Mine is. Roll that again.
Just weak.
Just weak.
Just weak. 2.
5 and 2 are on the table. Let's go ahead and do a combat 2. Talbot, you can go ahead and roll combat 2.
Oh, okay. Combat 2.
And we don't have to defend Blaine. Blaine's just there looking at folks. The creature's defeated, and because we didn't get so 5 and a 4, but it has to get rolled twice because the creature really has no defenses or ability to attack, really. It's defeated handily with no danger. Each of you go ahead and describe destroying it. Start it off, Talbot.
I'm gonna assume my knife is able to reach its neck vertebra, and I just slice the skull off the top in one swift motion, surprising even myself.
And then Sister Raina, finish it off.
I think it was seeing that it's not really that much of a danger. I think she kind of doesn't really actually pull her sword, but rather with the shield kind of knocks the rest of it out of the way.
Nice. And it crumbles to the ground. Sister Raina, go ahead and roll a gold 6. The robe is moth-eaten and decayed. The skeleton itself has no inherent value. There is nothing to be gained from this. So, let's go back to Mouse. You spent a token to find a treasure, and your treasure is, you find, it's a little, it takes you a minute, but you find it. The perch on the ends of it has affixed like a little decorative like caps. One of them is just like a bit of brass, not worth anything. The other one, though, is actually a coin with the stamp of a raven on it, which has been affixed to the end of the perch. The coin is worth 1 gold, just by virtue of it appears to be pure silver. If it has any other meaning, who knows?
I guess I'm sure we'll find out.
Indeed.
So yeah, I think I would then go across the hall to 29.
Okay. Let's take a look at that. This is another woman's bedroom, apparently. This one, however, is well furnished and lavishly decorated. There are footprints in the dust, and there's a message in dried blood on the wall. I shall not rest ere all my kin rest with me. This is the room that the Blaine made it to. He saw this message before he ran out. So this indeed does look out to the yard. So Blaine would have seen the alleged ghost sitting in the window. Now, here's the thing though, Mouse. As you kind of take a glance, you see this, and the story's all lining up. You hear a voice calling from down below in the great hall. The voice says, Tommy, is that you? What do you do, Mouse?
I think that I would probably run out to see. It doesn't sound like Lord Blaine or any of my companions.
Yeah.
Since I'm already suspecting that there's someone in the house, I feel like I'll definitely run out and see.
You go downstairs and you see the girl in the white dress with the black hair, and she's looking up at you. She's down below, and she's like waltzing by herself. And she says, I thought that was you, Tommy, sneaking into my room, What would my Lord Father think? What do you say?
Oh, that is a good question.
Think on it. Meanwhile, back at the library and the laboratory. I think the library and the laboratory are pretty well tapped out, Talbot. So there are some stairs that go down to the lower level of the laboratory, if you, or of the tower, if you wish. But
Yeah, I'll take a look at that.
yeah, if you go down to the ground level portion of the tower, which is, to look up the number. Very good. It's just the bottom floor of the tower. It's unfurnished and empty. And it lets out into, it's room 17, so it has a couple of doors that let out to the ground floor of the house.
All right, room 17. Look at that. I am curious about the door facing to the south.
Yeah, it opens up into a hallway where there are doors on the left, and it goes down quite a bit past that too.
Okay, I'll try the first door on the left.
All right, so we're on the ground floor now, and this room appears to be.
Irina is following.
Do what? Oh, are you
Irina is
following? Okay. Appears to be servants' quarters. It's very small bedroom. There's a single wardrobe and bunks for up to 6 people. There are a few like pieces of clothing and things around that probably indicate it used to be like a male servant's quarters. So.
Male servant. Can I do a hunt roll in this room?
Yeah, just tell me how you're searching.
I'm going to be searching the bunks and anywhere where the servants might keep their private belongings.
Okay, sure. Yeah, go ahead.
And it's just one?
Unless you have a relevant skill or piece of equipment, yeah.
I don't think I do. Oh, I'm sorry. Hunt. Yeah. So erase, cancel that. Yeah. Sorry, I'm making a mess. Three. Encounter something terrible.
We'll come back to that. Sister Raina, what are you doing right now?
I think Sister Reina is kind of continuing forward. I think she needs some air, wants to get out to the grounds.
I will tell you, you hear at this point from the Great Hall, which is not far from where you're at, a little ways down the hall on the other side of these quarters. Sure. You will hear a woman calling for Tommy. Tommy, is that you? Meanwhile, Mouse, she says, sneaking into my room like that, what would my Lord Father think?
So I think as much as Mouse may not want to do this, and as much as I don't, as a player, necessarily become the one that always courts monsters, but I think that Mouse is used to kind of doing everything through subterfuge. So I think Mouse is going to say, we both know well enough that your father will never know of this, and kind of walk down the stairs towards her.
She says, that's what I like about you, Tommy. You're so brave, so bold. Come down here and dance with me.
I think I'm going to go dance with her.
She is there waiting on you. She says, I'll let you lead this time. Do you take her hands?
I do.
You go for her hands, but they pass right through them. And you just get this like chill that runs up your arm and down your spine as you do so. But she's determined to make it work. And like, if you just kind of hold your hands there, that'll be good enough.
Yeah, I think like with spontaneity and deception as skills, Like, I think I want to try and like make it look like I'm holding her hands.
Yeah. And so she'll begin the dance. She's like, oh, how glorious. Oh, I think we should have a sit down with my father very, very soon, Tommy. I know he's going to maybe think I'm a little too young to get married, but well, what does it matter? We're in love. That's the most important thing, right?
Of course, we will make it work.
Splendid, splendid.
Where is your father on this glorious day?
One moment. I need to just like read something real quick. She says, oh, you know, out hunting like he does. I think that man would marry a wild boar if he didn't have to jam a spear into it.
Yes,
Tommy,
nobles in their hunting.
Tommy, you know I love it when you whisper my name into my ear. Whisper my name, Tommy.
Oh, I have a bad feeling about this. I'm going to try whispering Regine. I have a terrible feeling that this is going to end up not being Regine, but that's for us to find out right now.
She says, so you whisper Regine. Her eyes go wide. And she's like, oh, how could you? And she goes to push you like away, but instead her hands go right through your body, sending a terrible chill all through your body. I need a risk roll right now. Adrian and Mark, what could go poorly for Mouse right now?
Other than everything.
He could he could develop frostbite in all his limbs.
I think it could be a case of like, we could go old school D&D and say that you magically age really badly. Yeah.
Maybe also it could freeze your heart, like, or at least, leave you with a cold heart, like emotionless.
Oh, that's pretty good too. All right, so Mouse, you've got a problem. This ghost is pissed, and a little inadvertently, because I don't think she realizes what she's doing, but like sending this like terrible ghostly chill throughout your body. What do you do to try to escape it or prevent it or otherwise get out of this unscathed?
I think maybe what I'm going to try to do is in conversation with this ghost, like play it off as, because like if this isn't Regine, then I'm almost certain it's Reverie. So maybe play it off as like a like playful jape to try and like calm the ghost down before it gets any deeper into my organs.
Let's take a look at your dice. So you've got, do you have an appropriate skill here? Deception, I guess.
Deception or spontaneity. I think both of these are
yeah.
working on my toes.
Your first light die, Devil's Bargains. What do we think? No matter what. Any offers on the table?
No matter what, one of his limbs goes numb.
That's pretty good. I'll say no matter what, she presses you on meeting her in another part of the house later on tonight.
I would say no matter what, Regine has heard her name being whispered.
Intriguing. Go ahead and
I like all of those. But I think I think I really like the idea of being pressed into meeting her in a different part of the house later.
And take a dark die as well, because your body is at stake. So 2 light, 1 dark.
So that's a 4 on the dark die.
What is your current ruin?
It is 3. So that
Your ruin's going up. Your ruin is going up, and none of these really terrible things that we've all indicated happen. But you do succeed in not like having your heart frozen or any other terrible things. Your ruin is going to go up. You have to stop rolling because the dark die is higher. And there's supposed to be a complication as well. I think the complication is going to be this. What do you say? First of all, I want to know. I know what it's going to be, but I want to hear how you respond first, as you back off or whatever.
So I think I like back off and put my hands up a little bit, and like give the ghost this smile, and say, Reverie, you know that I know it's you.
This is the complication. She goes, Reverie? I will not stand for this japery any longer, Tommy. This is ridiculous. Ridiculous.
All right, well, I guess we've narrowed.
I'll see you later on tonight in the garden. And you had best prepare your best apology. And she goes off into the darkness, fades away. Meanwhile, back in the hall, servants' quarters. Talbot, what happened there? Remind me. Did you roll dice or something? Or
Yes, I did. I think a terrible. Yeah, I rolled a 3. I encountered something terrible.
Sister Raina, what were you doing?
About to go out to the grounds. I think maybe at least checking through this. So I guess I'm in room number 13.
That's
probably.
the kitchen. Yeah.
Yeah, and then kind of. So I think I'm going to kind of peek through the door on the east side to the Great Hall. Right? Mouse is in 10, right?
Mouse is in 10. Yeah.
Yeah. So at least checking like what's going on there.
I think you'll just see that last little bit where the girl goes, Reverie, I'm sick of this japery. And then she just like dissipates after she commands Mouse to meet her in the garden later on tonight.
Are you all right, Mouse?
Well, I think the ghost is a Rebecca.
Good work, I guess. I was about to go out to the grounds. I feel this is kind of this sticky pressure of this house on me. I wanted to get some fresh air. What about you?
I will join you. I do feel like this house is getting smaller by the moment.
So heading out to the grounds.
Heading out to the grounds, and kind of while looking around there, I'd like to spend 3 tokens to accomplish the set goal of the grounds.
Very good. Also, I'll note here that you did accomplish the evening set goal of learning about Rashid the Raven.
Adrian, I do have a couple tokens too. If you want to split that up, I don't mind.
Sure.
I have 2 tokens, so I can spend 1 or 2 if you want.
Sure, then go for 1, and I'll go for 2.
I have 3 tokens. I can chip 1 in. You want to do 1 each?
Okay.
1 each. Token spent. Here's what you see, Sister Raina, as you go out. You notice what appears to be boot prints and indeed scuffed earth near the base of the porch that you've just stepped off of. What do you do?
That's intriguing. I think I'm going to take a closer look.
You will see that there is a wood panel at the base of the porch that can be slid aside. And this appears to be like a little hiding spot, a little stash spot. You can see evidence of someone being here fairly recently based off the boot prints.
Have you seen underground house? Someone was here. There seems to be something down here.
That is strange. It is becoming harder to deny that there's a ghost in this house, but I think that there's something or someone alive as well.
I agree.
Talbot, you're not really finding anything in the servants' quarters. It's a small room. As soon as you turn around, you see standing in the doorway the woman in the white dress. She's covered with blood running down her cheeks. It looks wet and fresh, and the front of her white dress is soaked in blood, and she's holding up a knife, and she says, "Leave this place, lest you meet the fate of those that came before." What do you do?
I leave this place.
Well, you can't. She's in the doorway.
Oh, that's counterproductive. Okay. In that case, I'm going to actually. Can I try to push her out of the way as I run out the door?
As you go for her, she floats backwards, kind of suddenly, like she wasn't expecting you to do that, and drops the knife, but then floats down the hall backwards. And as she floats down the hall towards 13, towards the kitchen, she says, "Leave this place now." And she floats around the corner and it's gone.
Okay, can I grab the knife she dropped?
You can.
Yes, I'm going to take that. Is it bloody?
It is covered in a sticky red substance.
Mixed berry, how gosh.
It is indeed. It's not blood. It's made to look like blood. It's not blood.
Interesting. In that case, yeah, I'm going to go to the grounds and meet the others.
Yeah. Let's take a 5-minute break. We'll come back here soon. Going back to Sister Reyna and Mouse for a moment, Blaine is right behind you and he says, "So what's down there? What have you found?" And what you found is what appears to be a stash of silver cutlery, candlesticks, brass fixtures, basically just things from the house looted, seemingly. And Blaine will say, oh, look, I think this must be part of my inheritance. Yes?
I guess so. It's probably all kind of big things, right? Like nothing you can just put in your pocket.
I mean, if you come back and collect it later, you can have it for sure. It's not the kind of thing you want to carry around, I don't think.
Exactly.
But if you have to leave in a hurry, that could be a problem. But
yeah, so I think she says, yes, that seems to be the case, but I don't think we should burden ourselves with it while we explore the rest of this place. She's gonna replace the wooden. So.
He says, "Of course, I'd be happy to give you a portion as your payment for coming here tonight to help me retrieve my inheritance. But this is splendid. This is splendid. You lot are already paying for yourselves handsomely." He says, and then at this point, Mouse, or Talbot rather, you can be rejoining the group. No sign of where the ghost went, perhaps clutching the berry-stained dagger in your hand. And as you come out to the garden, you see them kind of like crawling in and out of from under the porch. And if you look, you'll notice in the window that looks into room 7, which is the other doorway from the porch, you'll see walking across the window, Talbot, the girl in the white dress with the black hair, and she has a raven perched on her shoulder. She crosses the room and sits down in a chair. What do you do?
Was this the same girl who was covered in blood that I saw earlier before?
It looks the same, but you didn't notice any blood, and the other girl that you saw just now didn't have a raven. This one has a raven on her shoulder.
Right. I point out to the others, say, lads, Sister Reyna, look.
Do you all look as you're closing it up?
I think Mouse very reluctantly looks.
Inside, it appears to be a study of some sort. You don't see anything remarkable about it.
You don't see the girl?
And neither do you anymore, Talbot.
I mean, I understand that you love a good study, Talbot, but that is all this seems to be.
The girl we saw earlier with the raven, she was in here just a minute before. And before that, well, let's say I think we're dealing with not just ghosts or not just people, but both. There are clearly ghosts here, but there's clearly also someone mortal who has a vested interest in having us believe they are ghosts. That's why I'm carrying this knife covered in raspberry jam.
It's mixed berry, but
that's even worse.
I am so reluctant to say this, Talbot, but I do agree with you. I do believe that we are dealing, even just this stash of things, the boot prints leading to it are fresh. There's definitely, I think we should do some research. I think that the sisters, if they're not twins or triplets, at least bear a very uncanny resemblance to one another. I spoke with what I think was a ghost, and it was not either of the sisters that I thought it was. So
Blaine says, I can definitely taste raspberry. See,
it's mixed berry. Raspberries are in there.
It's apple jam with natural and artificial flavors.
At this point, the time is shifting. We are now into the middle of the night. We have a new set goal in the middle of the night. The middle of the night set goal is learn the truth of the raven. Sister Reyna, what are you up to?
I think I want to take a closer look at these boot prints and see if I can find out something like, what kind of boots, what kind of person, man or woman, or, anything like heavy set person. Or...
Yeah, absolutely. That's a great forensics check. Go ahead and do hunt roll. A remarkably helpful skill in dungeon crawling.
Yeah,
especially in this kind of dungeon, right? Yeah.
For sure. That's a 4.
Take your token. You, based off the size of the boot, you would guess it's probably a man. And based off the impressions and the way the dust is settled, the dirt is disturbed, rather, this happened really, really recently, like probably within minutes or at the most an hour or so. And you actually see some boot tracks leading in the direction of, I need to look really quickly, area 22 in the yard, which from the outside appears to be like the family chapel.
We should have a look at this chapel over there. I think someone walked from here to there or the other way.
Agreed.
Yes, I was going to recommend now that we're out here, we should check these other outbuildings.
As you are making your way, standing in the window that had the message that Blaine originally saw and that Mouse later saw about murdering all my kin. That window is open, and you see the woman in the white dress, the blood-stained white dress, wails out to you, "Leave here now, or face the dire consequences, you interlopers, usurpers."
I'm gonna whisper to the others. I'll say, actually, maybe Mouse might be better at this. What if Talbot and Sister Rena distract her while we get Mouse to sneak up and come up, sneak up behind her while we're distracting her, going back in the house, and then maybe we can actually get some answers from her.
I don't love the idea of sneaking up on a ghost, but I suppose at this point it's better than nothing.
How about
that's
so,
I think
Sister
it's a
Rena?
great
How
plan.
about fake
Yeah.
exorcism? You are a nun. We can do the whole power of Christ compels you thing. It's not going to work, but it'll keep her busy.
I think so is the ghost still visible in the window?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, why not now? So I think basically I'm going to do a ritual, and I think Sister Rena is like, I guess we'll find out whether there is a real ghost one way or another. And she takes this bottle from her belt, and I'm gonna use the ritual bottle, force a spirit into an object.
So here's the thing. Just by attempting the ritual, you will realize it's not a real spirit because the magic is not really doing anything. But it is probably, she's still there wailing in the window. Mouse, you do have some time I might make a risk roll eventually, but you do have time to at least like sneak in and try to do something.
Yeah, well, while they're distracting whatever this is, I will try to sneak back into the house and get up there.
Are you going through the Great Hall, then up the stairs? Is that the plan?
Yeah, I think so. Into the main room there, and then upstairs as quietly as possible to not alert them to my presence.
You go into the Great Hall, and you see the woman in the white dress stomping towards you. "There you are, Tommy. I thought I told you to meet me in the yard. No matter. Come here. I expect a full apology. I do not appreciate your little jokes earlier. You know how much I detest Regine and Reverie."
I am so sorry. You know, I only have eyes for you.
Well, so what was your little joke about then?
You know that I know that you and your sisters don't get along. I thought it would be funny. I apologize. I understand that my humor is not always well placed.
She says, "All right. You know, I have a really difficult time staying mad at you, Tommy. Do it, Tommy. Whisper my name in my ear."
All right, I'm gonna give it a go, and I'm gonna say Rebecca. That was the other name, right?
It is, yeah. She smiles and says, "Let's dance."
All right, I will. I guess I can't get out of this. I will dance with Rebecca.
Talbot, nothing is happening with the ghost in the window. Mouse has not made it or is delayed in some way. In any case, the ghost in the window leaves the window, floating back. They do move like a ghost, and floating back into the darkness as she says, "Leave this house now."
I turned to Sister Rena and I yelled, the ways of your gods of order are clearly not working here. We must turn to the old ways, to the spirits of the forest. I take my shining knife and my winter wolf pelt and plop the pelt on top of my head in some terrible mock-up of some kind of pagan ritual. I'm waving my arms around, making a scene about calling upon the spirits of the woods to at least like maybe get her to stop and be like, what is he doing?
Yeah, maybe. I think as you're doing that, Sister Rena, you will hear some stumbling around in the chapel, a door closing really quickly. What do you do?
Quickly kind of, so I'm standing there, right? So I think I'm quickly trying to open the door to the chapel.
Someone is physically holding it closed. You can feel like a little like resistance, right? What do you do?
I think try to force it open.
Let me take a look at your skills. You're a warrior, right? Or you were a warrior? Are a warrior? Dueling. You were a knight. I think they're stronger than you, but you're able to like get it open enough to like at least communicate with the person, right? Like there's a little bit of a gap, right?
Whoever you are, show yourself.
He's like, you show yourself.
I'm out here in the open. Come out here. You're no ghost.
And he steps back and he says, right, yeah, I'm no ghost. He just says, and he kind of like walks kind of like a little deeper into the chapel. He says, my name is Brock.
I'm Sister Rena. So I see she opens the door fully now, I think. Is there any light in this chapel, like any candles?
Just
anything?
a little bit of ambient moonlight, basically.
Okay,
Yeah.
just okay. We're not going to hurt you if you tell us what you're doing here and what is happening at this place.
He says, well, I can't actually say much. Old war injury. He kind of points at his throat. Makes speaking very difficult. But look, we didn't mean to harm anyone.
Did you close the door to the crypt some time ago?
Okay, well, I didn't mean to harm you, just to slow you down.
I see.
He sits down. He says, oh, the ghost is my lover. Her name is Psyche. There's no haunting. It's just us.
I read a story, Brock, about a raven. Do you know anything about that?
A raven?
Yes, a raven given to a girl. Drove her mad.
He says, You don't believe the stories about this place, do you? I mean,
I
I'm sure
don't.
something terrible happened here, but the idea of haunting was just silly. It's just us. It's just me and Psyche.
Why do you want to slow us down or keep us away? What are you doing here?
This is, well, we came to loot the place, and we have done a fair bit of that. But we sort of came to like it here. And we don't have anywhere else to go, so we're just staying here for a time. We're squatters, I suppose.
I see. Well, keep out of our way. We have our own things to accomplish here.
At this point, Talbot, you hear a scream coming from the window that the bloody ghost was in. And you see the bloody ghost running towards the window, or backing up towards the window. They're back to you. And she's screaming, get away from me. And she turns and she sees you down there and she says, this place is haunted. It's actually haunted.
I immediately say I drop my knife in the whole pagan ritual thing, and I'm like, if you're in danger, jump down. I'll catch you.
I'm not going to jump down.
If it's the only way to save you, we could.
She's like, ah, and she climbs out the window. She's actually quite dexterous. She makes her way down the side of a trellis or kind of bit of stonework pretty dexterously. She says, jump. She's like, she looks at you, she says, I've been climbing towers and walls for as long as I can remember, since I was a little girl. I saw a ghost in there, an actual ghost.
Yes, they're definitely present. Describe what did you see in there exactly?
I saw the girl in the painting, the girl that I modeled this little getup after.
Quite an accomplished burglar, I see.
Well, thank you. And she floats towards you. She still moves like that. Like she floats like she's gliding on the ground.
How do you do that?
She's like, oh, well, something I purloined a number of months ago, special slippers that let you sort of glide across the ground.
Oh, that's it. Well, what's all this for? Why the whole ghost getup? Why the mixed berry blood and all?
At this point, Brock will come out as well, and they'll tell you the whole story, and you'll learn the whole story of Brock and Psyche. And Lord Blaine says, I ought to have you arrested and flogged in the square. Thieves, burglars. And they're just like, I don't really know what to say to that. They say, well, we didn't mean to harm anyone. We just, no one was here. And, well, we'd heard rumors of people starting to take an interest in this place. And so we decided to just, take some steps to scare people off. That's all.
You have to give them credit, Blaine. They decided to make this house a home and do their best to protect it rather than simply loot it.
Blaine says, well, I wonder why, if there are actual ghosts here, I wonder why they've only just now manifested and made themselves known to us.
That is a good question. Could it have something to do with the return of the Raven?
I don't know. I found your stash. Don't you think I'm not going to count every candlestick. I'm sure the Lord Mistmoor had some sort of account books around here, so we can determine exactly what should be in the in this estate. And if even one single brass fixture is missing, I'm arresting you both. You both are going to prison. That's it for you.
Yes, good sir. But we have still some things to do here. I think Sister Rena is going to take out this little silver key that she found, and she's going to say, either you, good sir, or the two of you, have you seen any place where this could fit, that this key might open?
And Psyche says, well, I mean, there are lots of doors, I suppose. There is one rather strange painting upstairs in one of the bedrooms that it looks like a door with a silver lock mechanism that somewhat matches this, I suppose. But that doesn't make any sense. It's a painting.
Thank you. That sounds interesting.
Right. Well, she says, perhaps we should all join forces. You all seem like you're here looking for something in particular. Maybe we can help you find it. Meanwhile, back in the Great Hall, Rebecca says, oh, that was glorious, Tommy, just glorious. Well, I better be off before my Lord Father returns. If he catches us here, we'll be in so much trouble.
Hold one moment, Rebecca. There's something. I know you probably don't want to speak about it, but there's something I have to ask. What is the story with the Raven?
The Raven. Oh, don't bother yourself with that, Tommy. That horrible animal that Regine was given as a pet, if you can imagine. What a dreadful thing to have as a pet. She was delighted, of course, but she's always been a rather morbid girl, ever since we were very little, in fact. Put it out of your mind, it's nothing.
Before I came here, I had some experiences as a child, Rebecca, and it has given me a sense when something is wrong. And I feel like there's something wrong with that bird.
Well, I couldn't say, really, Tommy. I find Regine to be rather insufferable. You know how she is, and the bird is really quite obnoxious. Regine goes on periodically, every now and then, wanting to know where Daddy's secret vault is kept. I think she thinks the bird wants to find it, but of course that's ridiculous. Not the least reason of which birds don't talk, but even if they could, what use could they possibly have?
I mean, it's known ravens and other corvids do speak occasionally. It's mimicry, but they speak.
Well, Tommy, if I knew the answer, why would I I certainly wouldn't tell the Raven, would I? I would tell you, so you can get into the vault, so that we could have a nice little nest egg for our future life.
That would be. It would make our lives so much easier. You've never heard any whisperings of where the vault is?
Well, I may know a little something about it, but I can't say right now. We have to go. My father will be here soon. Go on.
Where should I meet you, Rebecca?
Upstairs in my room. Come up the window side.
I will see you there.
And she disappears. Back out in the yard. So Psyche has proposed teaming up with the two of you, as if because I don't think they know about the vault. It doesn't seem like they do, but it seems like she's trying to figure out what you all are doing here. That's what she seems like she's trying to suss out from you. Talbot and Sister Raina, what are you saying? Blaine, of course, says, I wouldn't, there's nothing in the world that could make me want to stoop so low as to ally myself with common criminals.
I, on the other hand, love common criminals. I say sure.
Doesn't seem that they know much more than just the basic, whatever you need to steal things from here. I think you're right, the little Sir Blaine. I think the little charade is over. What about?
We're very sorry about the horses.
Exactly. I was just about to say that. What about as a token of your cooperation? First, you try to get our horses back here. We will need them later.
They look at each other and they nod. She says, okay, we'll go get the horses. Sorry again. We didn't mean to hurt anyone.
It's okay.
And they'll go to try to collect the horses. Lord Blaine says, well, what an interesting night we are having. So what of this vault?
Perhaps we should investigate the chapel more?
You certainly can. I think I will need a torch from someone at this point, or candle or similar.
I
And
think
also,
I
Mouse,
still
you
have
can
my
rejoin the group if you wish.
glowworms.
Oh yeah, if you have the glowworms, that'll work.
Yeah.
All right, let's talk about the chapel. That's area 22. So the outside of the chapel is almost completely covered with climbing ivy. And inside there is, at a glance, a small altar draped with an altar cloth and what appears to be a tarnished candelabra at either end. Talbot, what do you do?
I want to go inside the chapel and look behind the altar, see what I see there.
Okay. At a glance, just behind the altar, nothing. Do you want to do anything else? Or
Look for maybe any secret switches, any triggers to any doors.
okay, like moving the altar cloth and stuff like that.
Yes.
Go ahead and roll hunt roll.
Okay. Something terrible.
Where are you at, Sister Raina? Are you in there as well?
I think Sister Raina is going to spend 2 tokens to find treasure here.
Oh, very good. So, Sister Raina, there is there are a couple of like little small prayer plinths before the altar, like where family members could kneel and pray, right? And at one of the prayer plinths, you see what appears to be a like a little hymnal, right? And the hymnal has historical religious value to the right buyer. It's worth 1 gold just because it's so old and still in relatively good shape. And you'll also notice
Yeah, I think it makes a lot of sense that Sister Rena notices this hymnal
absolutely.
as being kind of.
You'll also notice inside the hymnal, this is a second treasure. It is, I guess it's worth 1 gold to the right buyer, but it's more valuable for what it is. What it is a prayer to allow you to speak with the dead, written on a little slip of parchment. Talbot, we'll come back to your searching in a moment. Mouse, what are you up to?
When I parted ways with Rebecca, did our meeting in her room sound like she wanted it to happen like immediately?
I mean, I don't know if these ghosts really have like a sense of time.
Yeah.
Right. So
I think that, like, particularly because we have other things to do, I think that knowing that time is kind of an abstract concept here, I'm going to go out and try to find a way to climb up to the room that I know now is Rebecca's.
Yeah, I think you can definitely do that. And it's only 2 stories, so I don't think it's really any serious danger here, especially because of your profession. And yeah, you could be climbing it and you can pop right into the window. Rebecca is inside and she turns and says, "Oh, Tommy, coming in through my window, you rapscallion, you."
I have always been known as a rascal.
Well, I have something really wonderful to tell you.
What is it, Rebecca?
She says, "Well, you know that vault, Father's vault. I don't know where it is exactly, but I do think I know how to get in."
Well, that is half of the puzzle right there.
Well, apparently there's a key. A silver key that my father keeps around his neck. And apparently, this key, spoken with a command word that Yocasta has imbued it with, causes the vault door to open. The command word, if you can imagine, is something totally dreadful, unsurprising from Yocasta. Medusa is the command word. You know, like the story, like the creature from myth.
That does sound like something Yocasta would come up with.
Oh, I think it's just her little joke because she's so dreadfully ugly, of course, and we make fun of her for it terribly. She probably thinks, "Oh, this is my little joke." I mean, yes, we did say that she has the looks of a gorgon once when Father was courting her. And yes, I may have said at one time that she has the power to turn people to stone with her withering gaze. But, I mean, well, I think it just confirms as true what I overheard. Now, good luck getting the key from around my father's neck. The only way that's going to happen, I should imagine, is if someone can remove his head from his shoulders.
Well, I don't have much of a taste for blood, but I am very capable when it comes to procuring objects without the owner noticing.
Well, don't decapitate my father. That's all I have to say, Tommy. I still do rather quite love the man.
You have my word. His head will remain intact.
Good. It's a very, very good head. Meanwhile, Talbot.
Terrible things.
Terrible things. What'd you roll?
I rolled a 3.
A 3. Okay, give me a moment. The door to the chapel slams shut. You have only the light of the glowworms inside the small chapel at this point. And then you see shadows stretching along the walls in the glowing light of the glowworms. Strange shadows with hands reaching out at everyone. Lord Blaine clutches you, Sister Reyna, and says, "Brave warrior nun, defend me. Defend me from this evil." Sister Reyna, what do you do? This might be spirit bottle time, maybe.
I think so.
Yeah,
That sounds good.
I think it's a risk roll. Go ahead and do you have any relevant skills or equipment? Oh, you have the bottles. Yeah.
Bottle, yeah. Well, yeah. I mean, I don't have the bottle. Oh, well, actually, yeah. I'm gonna take the bottle as an equipment, of course.
Yeah, so you'll have a light die there.
Yes.
What could go wrong here? Mark, Blaine, any thoughts?
There could be too many spirits for the bottle to hold, and they will all just pop out and attack Sister Rena.
Yeah, I was going to say that maybe you accidentally bottle Lord Blaine's spirit.
Maybe I'm not sure exactly how this ritual works, but like maybe as the spirit is like getting pulled into the bottle, it has a chance to like reach out and touch you.
Yeah. Okay. So you got some options there. What do you think? Or actually, no, we have to do devil's bargains now, huh? Kind of went out of order. That's my bad. Sorry. Devil's bargain. I kind of like my bad result as devil's bargain too. No matter what, you also bottle Lord Blaine's spirit. You know?
I could suggest that Sister Rena, either way, Devil's Bargain, Sister Rena loses her own shadow.
Intriguing.
I do like that. Maybe no matter what, as part of bottling this spirit, you get a glimpse at some of the spirit's memories, for mostly worse.
I think that would be fantastic, just because we know that Sister Reyna has some kind of heretofore undefined connection to Mistmoor Manor.
Yeah, I'll take that one.
2 light, 1 dark. Go for it.
That's a 4. Dark is the highest. So my ruin is 3, so it will go to 4.
Would you like to do a help roll, Talbot? So a help roll, since you're here, and since a dark die was included, basically you just say how you're helping, and then roll /weak, because that's how we get a light die out of it. And if your light die basically gets included in the roll, but if it matches the dark die, your ruin goes up.
Okay, yes.
So if you get a 5 or 6, it's worth doing, or 6 especially. If you get a 6, it's worth doing. If you get a 4, your ruin goes up. So.
All right. In that case, can I use my ritual wail to represent my helping to create like a highly disconcerting sound that drives the spirits into the bottle?
Oh, I like that. That's good. Yeah, that's great. Yeah. Just roll
cool.
roll /weak, see what you get.
4.
It matched. So your ruin goes up.
Oops.
Sadly.
Oh no.
Are you dead?
I'm at ruin 5.
Okay. So you're at a 4. I think, yeah. So, and also, what's your current ruin, Sister Raina?
I have now I have 4.
Okay, so your ruin. Wait, did it go up from the die roll?
Yeah, it go up.
Oh,
Yeah, it
okay.
went up to 4.
Okay.
So I think Rena is gonna stay out of this, Talbot.
Yeah, I think the complication basically comes. I think the complication probably comes in part from Talbot's attempted help, right? I think the wailing, what the complication is, it's mostly just a fictional thing. You're going to succeed because you got a 4, but in the shadows, one of the shadows in the sort of green glow of the glowworm light takes the shape of a raven, and the raven is like flying towards you, and I think that's where the ruin comes from. For both of you, like the raven like kind of passes through you. Each of you just describe what it's like when the raven specter passes through you.
So should I, because Talbot has already has the condition the raven, should I also pick up that condition?
I like it.
then?
Yeah, I think it's good. Yeah.
I think so I think this is the first time that Sister Rena really realizes that there is some kind of evil force or so at work here. And so I think she tries to duck, but it's just too late. Maybe because Talbot is kind of in the way or something. And I think the raven really kind of goes through her, like her upper body and her head. Like that's where she's.
I'm gonna say Talbot, when the raven passes through him, he gets this brief glimpse of the inside of his own chest cavity, where he can actually see a raven dwelling inside and pecking at his heart and building a nest. It's all nasty.
I love it. And yes, Sister Raina, you do bottle up the spirit, the magic of the bottle, or from this, because there is like some sort of like malevolent spirit here. I don't know if it's the raven itself, but it's just something. What does it look like? What happens here?
I think what I did, so I have these lead bottles at my belt, and I think I take one of them, and I think Rena is too slow doing this. So first kind of the raven goes through, and then she kind of spins around with the bottle in hand and kind of sucks it into the bottle with a kind of movement.
As you draw the spirit into the bottle, you have a bit of a flashback, Sister Raina. You have a flashback of a time when you were doing research on a necromancer called Erebus. We're going to take a break, but when we get back, I'd like to know, why were you researching this necromancer Erebus? For what purpose? And what made you realize that Erebus, thought long dead, is still in the world somehow? I will say before we go on break that the upper level set goal is met. You know how to get into the vault, even if you don't know the precise location yet. And although you have a pretty good hint about where it is. And that is sort of where things are at as far as that goes. Let's take a 5-minute break. Before we pick up in the chapel, back with Mouse, Rebecca says, Tommy, I don't think we can spend the evening here. That wretched maid is always poking her nose in my business. I hope someone really does her in someday. Regine keeps threatening to, of course. I tell you what, I'll give you a choice. We can meet somewhere a little more out of the way. We can meet in the hayloft in the stables and play stable boy and mistress again. Or if you prefer, we can meet down below in Papa's jail and play jailer and prisoner again. What do you think?
I think, like, without missing a beat, zero hesitation. She's like, let's meet in the jail.
She's like, oh, all right then. Well, I have to go gather some tools, but meet me down there directly.
I will, it will be a few moments. I'm going to do some research and see if I can find out the location of the vault.
She's like,
and then I'll be down.
Splendid. Good. Don't keep me waiting.
Never.
And she she materializes, or she disappears. The door opens back up to the chapel. The moonlight pours back in, and everything is fine, Sister Reyna. But tell us about Erebus, the necromancer. Why were you researching Erebus, and how did you know that he had not left the world after all?
I think Sister Reyna was so I think that's actually what got her into the order, because I think that she had a partner that she fought with for a long time, a woman that also was part of the group that she was fighting with, and I think that woman died. And so when she heard about kind of legends of that necromancer or stories of the necromancer, I think she went into looking for him because maybe the necromancer would be able to kind of bring her partner back from the dead. And I think she never found him, but she found she found a man that claimed to have been resurrected by Erebus. I think she killed him because he didn't want to say, like he didn't want to, he wouldn't say where to find Erebus. And so I think in like a moment of rage, I think she killed that man.
Intriguing. Well, Talbot, I think the chapel's pretty well done. What do you do after that?
I'd say it's probably good time to reconvene with Mouse. If he's got a chance, maybe we can meet at the grounds again and share info.
When you step out of the chapel, you see that Psyche, the thief, has not gone off to get the horses, or she's returned in really good time, because she's at the fountain in the center of the yard. And she's at the fountain and she's rubbing her cloth on her dress together as if she had just dipped her hands in water, and she's trying to remove a stain. She's saying out loud, I just can't get it to come out. It just won't come out. And of course she has all the blood and stuff on her dress and whatnot. She's like, why won't it come out? What do you do?
Psyche, is there something wrong?
She looks up. A raven lands on her shoulder, and she disappears.
Bloody hell, that raven. I immediately tell Sister Raina about what I saw.
This place. I think we should go and find this painting or door or whatever that they were speaking about.
Agreed. Do we have any more art goals or event goals that we still haven't solved?
So you still have the middle of the night set goal, which is to learn the truth of the raven. And then you have the ground level house set goal, which is to learn the location of the vault. You're pretty close to that though, because you know that it's allegedly something to do with a painting in one of the rooms upstairs. And then there's the subterranean set goal, which is learn how to escape the vault.
I think I have 2 tokens. If anyone else is willing to chip in one, we could solve one of the set goals right now.
Yeah, I have one more that I'd be willing. I have enough, assuming we get paid for this, which I know we should be getting at least 1 gold. I have enough gold to cover my burdens. So
We do, but since we basically already know where the location is, so I think we should probably, or how to enter basically. So maybe we should use it, bring ourselves into a situation where we use it to spend to learn or to learn the truth about the raven. What about that?
I agree.
yeah, we could do that one. Because I have a feeling we're not really going to be able to learn how to escape the vault until we find the vault.
Right. Well, also spend my 2 tokens to solve the mystery of the raven.
And I'll spend 1.
Thank you.
Very good. The raven reappears in the yard next to the fountain and begins to grow and twist and morph into that of a man, a shape of a man wearing a black cloak. And he's looking at you all a little bit through you, but at you. And he smiles and he says, "You're never going to find it. You're never going to find it. No. The contents of the vault belong to me. I've worked too hard to get my hands on them. Taking the form of a raven, driving that poor little girl mad, causing her to murder her own family. She even decapitated her father. That's a lot of work."
And who are you, this man that takes such pride in his twisted work?
He looks at Sister Raina. She knows who I am.
Erebus.
Says, "Let's see if you can find me." And he disappears.
Rena, you know this man?
I've heard of him. A long time ago, I was looking for him. I didn't expect to find him in this place, but there have been some surprises here. I wonder what else we will find.
We must tread carefully. He seems like one not to be trifled with.
We should hurry.
Indeed. Where are we
Indeed.
headed?
So they said the painting was in the upper level, right?
In one of the rooms upstairs, yeah.
Yeah. We should go and find that painting that they were talking about. Don't you
I
think?
agree.
Had I noticed that painting in any of the bedrooms that I poked my head into?
Indeed not. But you have been through, so yeah, you can kind of cross off all those like sort of central rooms there. If you want to head back up there and do that. Assuming you cross through the Great Hall, you will notice that there's a little table in the Great Hall where a candle is lit. And next to the candle are 2 sheets of parchment. Talbot, what do you do?
I'm very curious. I'd like to take a look at those parchments.
One of the parchments is blank. The other has a note written on it that says, "Thank you so much for helping me with the library infestation. Ask me anything you wish, and I will answer as quickly as I can." And
Oh,
there you see a blank piece of paper and an ink pot and quill.
I write, where can we find your father's vault?
Indeed. And there is a little moment where the ink on the page that you've just written begins to swirl and lift off from the page and flies off into the air, disappearing as it leaves the candlelight. What do you do?
I want to follow this ink where it goes.
It does indeed go upstairs, and it can be followed. And I have to hear a look exactly where. Hold on. It goes up to what is area 32 on the map. The ink sort of splashes against the brass handle and then dribbles down the brass handle of the door. Do you all go inside?
So I think I'm prepared to go inside as we're walking up, because I as a player know that Sister Raina found that silver key, but like Mouse also has not really been with anyone for most of this. So I'm going to tell Sister Raina and Talbot that I spoke with the ghost, and that whenever we find the vault, the way to get in is there's apparently a silver key somewhere. And while using the silver key, we need to speak the word Medusa.
Oh, very good, Mouse. Good detective work.
So, Sister Raina, do you reveal the existence of the key, or?
Yes.
Okay. Do you go inside the room?
I think because I think I showed it to everyone when everyone was around, to the others. So, yeah, yeah.
Inside the room, it's a richly furnished bedroom with a large, comfortable bed. And there is, quite dominant in the room, a painting. A painting, Mouse, that you will recognize as one of Agino's. It is of a woman, beautiful, raven-haired, bearing a shield with a Pegasus on it. And she's standing next to a large silver door. This almost certainly fits the description of what you think you're looking for. And Mouse, it's an Agino as well.
Is there a hidden image of a raven on it?
Not at a glance.
Can I make a hunt roll to investigate further?
Tell me how you're doing it.
I'm going to get closer to the painting and sort of I'm figuring it's sort of an optical illusion, just like the last one. So in fact, like I'll probably tilt it slightly and like adjust the light just to make sure it's just so.
We'll come back to that. Sister Raina, what are you doing?
I think I want to know if anyone else has been here. Like, I think I'm looking around and kind of, has anyone else been here recently?
Come back to that as well. Mouse, you hear from the doorway out in the hall. Tommy, get out of there. My father's going to see you. Come quickly to the dungeon.
Do I see Rebecca?
You do.
I'm gonna turn around and I'm gonna like make this motion and like mouth, I found the vault.
She's like, oh, wonderful, but Papa is almost here. You have to hurry.
I will meet you in the dungeon as soon as I have secured our future.
And she goes off.
And I think Mouse is like, his hand is like in his robes clutching his knife. Like he wants to destroy this painting immediately. But he is also a desperate treasure hunter and wants whatever is in the vault. So I think like he's resigned himself to like, we have to use this to get into the vault. But like once we've been in the vault, I am coming back here and destroying this painting.
Talbot, go ahead and roll hunt roll. You're muted.
No, sorry, so it's just not my day. I got to something terrible happens.
And Sister Raina, go ahead and roll hunt roll as well.
Five.
Sister Raina, go ahead and take your token. As you're looking around, you will see a richly dressed, although the cloth is moth-eaten and decayed a little bit, but you will see a skeleton, headless, laying on the floor on the other side of the bed. Talbot, you will see the faint shape of the bird, very specifically situated on the part where the door is, as if it's on the other side of the door. And it will shimmer momentarily, at which point the headless skeleton begins to rise from its spot, Sister Raina. It pulls a knife from its hip and is swinging wildly. Has no head, but it's swinging wildly. Sister Raina, what do you do?
Draw my sword.
It is a combat 6. Whoever wants to go at it. Is everyone fighting this?
Talbot is going to fight. Talbot is going to try to grab the arm that's swinging the knife of the skeleton.
Talbot, if you take one more ruin, you die. Don't forget.
That's them's the breaks. Okay.
I was about to give you some troll blood before, but then I forgot. So hopefully afterwards.
I mean, it's just a 6.
I've got that potion that says invigorate.
Revitalize, but yeah.
Revitalize, yeah.
Mouse, are you joining the combat?
Yeah, I think Mouse will join in.
Everyone describe how you're vulnerable and roll your weak point.
think the sword is just too big. The skeleton is too close with the knife. So
For me, it's I'm deliberately grabbing for his arm, and that thing with its knife is right at eye level, so it's a very good chance it could hit my face.
And I think for Mouse, like being in the presence of one of Agino's paintings, like Mouse is kind of very distracted and not paying as close attention to danger as he probably should be.
So it looks like Sister Reina's weak point is 1, Mouse's is 2. What's your weak point, Talbot?
Weak point is
You just rolled /weak. There's no number.
okay. 1.
All right, so 1's a bad number. Let's have a combat 3, Sister Reina. Go for it. It's enough to destroy it. It's a 3, a 3, and a 1. However, Sister Reina and Talbot are both taking a damage. If you both want to drink your healing things post haste, you can do that. But let's have the fight. Mouse started off.
So I think that like Mouse being kind of distracted and like seeing all of this play out, he jumps onto the bed and like picks up the skull and like throws it at the skeleton, trying to kind of like knock it off balance as it's lunging towards Sister Reina.
Keep it going, Talbot.
Okay. Talbot lunges in to grab the arm. As he does, he gets kind of clumsy, and he allows the knife ends up slashing him right across the face. He's losing a lot of blood, and he can feel the boom, 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 boom pounding of his heart as his family's beast curse is starting to swell within him. And so he lands on the ground, and in an act of desperation, before the beast can fully take over his declining body, he takes the Revivify potion as quickly as he can to just stave it off, at least for a little while.
That'll keep you at ruin 5. Sister Reina, finish off the skeleton.
I think so I think the skeleton buries the knife in Reina's shoulder. She drops the sword, but I think again with the shield kind of crushes it to the side.
Good. Talbot, roll a gold 6. These useless skeletons. No, nothing of worth from the skeleton.
We have had very bad luck.
Yeah, the gold rolls haven't been so great.
I think it's 21 gold dice and 1 gold.
Yeah, I know. You hear down below, Mouse, "Tommy, I'm waiting." So what's everyone
We
doing?
need to get into the vault quickly.
Reina is gonna sit up on the bed and take out the troll blood and kind of put it on the shoulder.
I assume that cures you of 1 ruin.
Mm.
Well, you know how to get in.
I think that Mouse kind of looks over at his 2 companions, who are significantly worse for wear than he is, and he kind of puts his hand out to Sister Reina, and he's like, I will open the door if you want, just in case there's anything dangerous.
Go ahead.
And I will put the silver key in and say Medusa as I turn it.
You disappear, and the key falls to the ground. Boom, boom. We'll pick up with you in a moment. Talbot, Sister Reina, what do you do?
I'm gonna go back to the painting and find a location where the key can be inserted.
Okay, and then what?
And then I'm gonna draw attention to whoever has the key.
The key is on the ground now, I think.
Keys
right?
on the ground.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
So
yeah,
I think
mouse used it, did it, disappeared, and the key fell to the ground.
I think
Oh.
Rena picks it up and hands it to you, Talbot, and says, like with a sigh, "It seems there's some magic about this place after all. After you."
It seems. Once more into the breach. I do the same. I stick the key in and twist it.
You disappear, and the key falls to the ground. Sister Raina, what do you do?
I don't leave them there. I take a kind of look around, one last look at the skeleton on the ground, and put the key in and also turn it.
The three of you find yourselves in a space that's a pretty big, well, not huge, but I would say it's probably like the size of a, it's probably about the size of like the library, maybe, but like more squarish, kind of decent size room. Covered with piles of silver coins, a little bit of gold, some jewels, art objects. It is Blaine's theoretical inheritance. He's delighted to see as he also appears in the space. He's like, we found it. We found it. And he's like, I can pay off all the manor's debts. I can get myself out from under the yoke of the Duke, and I can even make a fine wedding gift for her. This is fantastic. Thank you so much, my hardy and true companions.
In that list, I believe you forgot to say pay the companions that helped you find this treasure.
Yes, of course, but look how much there is. There's plenty to go around. There is a bust among the art objects, and you hear the flapping of wings as a raven lands on the bust. Changes into the form of Erebus the Necromancer, and he says, splendid. You managed to find a way in. I do hope you know the way out. I haven't been able to sort it out for the last 200 years, and here I remain. He says, what's interesting about this vault? Interesting about Lord Mistmoor's rise is, well, he was kind of a brutal, bloody man. He murdered many, many political, social, commercial rivals in order to achieve his status and all of this that we see around us. And he has this fascinating vault, a wonderful place to hide all the bodies. I don't know if Yocasta considered that when she trapped me here. Necromancers and bodies, we do sort of go together, If you know the way to escape, and at this point, the gold begins to shift, the treasure begins to quaver as skeletal hands burst out all over the place, skeletons rising up, the clinking of coins and jewels dripping through their rib cages. If you know the way, I suggest you tell me quickly, and we'll end the session there a little early. That feels like a good spot to end for tomorrow. Let's go
Like
stars and wishes.
cliffhanger ending.
It is stars and wishes. Stars, of course, things we enjoyed. Wishes, things we hope to see tomorrow. My wish is really straightforward. I really want to know if you're going to survive this or not. Oops. Sorry. I meant to mute.
I'd say
We
my
do have
stars
enough
are.
token. Sorry.
Yeah, sorry. I would say my stars are. I really liked the whole gothic feel of this setting. I liked that there's a ghost, but there's a twist. It's not a ghost. Oh, but there actually is a ghost. It's kind of neat. That's fun. Wishes. Yeah, I mean, I share the same wish. I want to see if I'm gonna, especially me. I'm gonna see if I'm gonna survive this next session.
Talbot is the one I think is the most in question here.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think another big star for this adventure. Like, I understand why people talk about how this is one of the better Dungeons and Dragons haunted house adventures. It has been really cool. It's interesting with a lot of kind of like the classic gothic and horror tropes without being kind of overwrought. I also, on a personal level, love the interactions between Mouse and Rebecca. That has been a ton of fun. And yeah, I think my biggest wish is to see if we survive. And then also, I like kind of to see how Mouse ends up resolving this storyline with Rebecca.
Rebecca so wanted to get you down into the dungeon. Like, you made the right choice by going to the dungeon, and then you didn't go because you might have been able to learn how to escape the vault. But no.
Yeah, if we weren't right there, I probably would have done that scene. I still might end up doing, like, I have a feeling Mouse is still going to end up going to the dungeon at some point. But
if you escape the vault,
if I survive,
Erebus has been there 200 years. Yeah, stars for me. I really love the. It was fun, like portraying the three sisters and kind of like just showing how their differences are, and it was fun to see you all kind of put two and two together about Brock and Psyche and all that stuff. That was all really enjoyable. Just liked all that. It's great stuff, and also how we sort of like wove in some, details that the module didn't anticipate because of risk rolls and stuff like that. It was all really enjoyable.
I really hope they bring our horses back, though. Yeah, I like that. It's interesting because it's kind of because of the way that Trophy Gold kind of, at least the way you run it, doesn't really care so much about like each individual room and so on. It kind of feels actually kind of smaller than maybe it actually is. But on the other hand, I'm always kind of expecting like there might be another big like thing, somewhere behind the next door. So I like that. Yeah, and I think it's interesting, like from where we started today in the library to kind of all of these different parts with the sisters. I really like that. Yeah, and also for especially for Mouse also, and a star for the kind of interaction with Rebecca. I really like that.
Thank you.
I really like how this adventure, it's like, just from when I tell you, it's good. You could run this not just in, D&D or Trophy, but it's very versatile. Like, I see, like, if I got a hold of it, I could run this for multiple systems and still really enjoy it and get a lot of fun from my players.
Well, there's not much combat, right? Like, it's a really combat light dungeon, so it's mostly a lot of social encounters, which I think is really interesting.
Yeah, and all the combat is so like D&D neutral. Like, it's giant spiders and skeletons, which
it's like those basic ass
any
D&D
system you play is going to have stats for giant spiders and skeletons.
Well, at the same time, the combat is actually quite dangerous because it's trophy. So I think that's kind of interesting.
Oh yeah, it's not
Definitely.
easy combat. It's just like there's just not like it's
not the focus of the adventure.
It's not the focus. Yeah, exactly. Like it's just a sort of like, oh shit, there's a skeleton. But what I think is great about it though is there's a lot of like I don't know if you've all been picking up on it, but a lot of the stuff that's happened in the story has been telegraphed earlier, right? Like just the fact that you originally found a skeleton that was animated, right? Like kind of indicates that there is a necromancer involved, and like there was just lots of little details that are sprinkled throughout that you can kind of like piece together like what's happening, right? Like what is happening in the story, which I think is great.
Yeah,
Good foreshadowing.
I love the little things too, like the fact that the paintings of the other two sisters were destroyed, so we couldn't tell from the jump that like if they're not twins, they're like genetically kind of identical. So like we're like, you know, we're working under the assumption that this ghost we're seeing is Regine,
Yeah.
when in fact it is not.
It's not. Yeah. Well, they are triplets, as it turns out, and but what I love about it is, like Psyche said, like so you've got the three different ghost girls, but then Psyche like saw the painting and was like, oh, I'm going to decorate myself like the murderous girl, you know. And so I just like how the dungeon sets that up. I think it's really smart. It's just a lot of fun. And the way it structures the reveals, like some of these like story reveals, it structures them basically through a series of like hauntings, like haunted encounters that happen at different times of day or different times of night. And I kind of reinterpreted that for Trophy Gold to be like set goals, right? Which I think is pretty fun. So
Yeah, that works really well as a translation over like the set goal system to and that was like 92 is kind of like, I feel like the heyday of D&D adventure designers actually trying to find like clever and interesting ways to play with like adventure structure and not just give you a straight linear adventure. And that interprets over really well to Trophy.
Yeah, and Trophy also, like, I feel like if they were playing this in AD&D, like we could have like all the clues in front of us and we'd still be like, I'm not so good at putting some stuff together sometimes. So we just sort of be dawdling. Yeah. And so Trophy has these great like systems where it could facilitate of, okay, you players are they're in the mansion, they've got the clues, but they're having trouble figuring out what's what, you know, and they're getting a little frustrated going around. So it's like, okay, good. Here's the immediate answer. Here's the thing that'll guide them on the way. Jason, I actually had a question about this adventure. Is it connected to the Ravenloft setting at all? Or
it is actually not. So there's actually a note in Dungeon Magazine. The author put a little, like before all the adventures, the author like writes a little like, when I was writing this, I was thinking of this and this and this. And the author like literally notes like, I wish the Ravenloft supplement had been released before I wrote this, because he was like, I could, and then he kind of goes on to say like, but you could definitely like connect it up with Ravenloft. Like, so he wasn't, 2e Ravenloft wasn't a thing yet when he wrote it, at least. And so, but he kind of notes that like, by the time it came out, by the time it was published. And so he was like, you know, I would have liked to have known that, because I could have incorporated it more closely to the Ravenloft setting, but it still would work, is kind of what he says. So yeah, so that's actually answered in the dungeon. Yeah. Any other stars or wishes? We shall see. Tomorrow could be a really short session. We'll see how it goes. You know, which would be a pretty interesting, tragic, almost Edgar Allan Poe-esque ending.
Yeah, it would definitely be very gothic for us to have gotten this far, only to get mauled by skeletons
and trapped. Right? Yeah. Yeah.
It's funny, as soon as you started mentioning ravens and writing desks, I got thinking of the riddle from Alice in Wonderland.
Yeah.
Poe wrote on both.
The dungeon definitely knows what its influences are. The weird emphasis on Greek myth is strange. I haven't quite sorted that out yet. I don't know exactly why characters are called Erebus and Psyche, and why it makes references to Medusa, because it's supposed to be like in the standard D&D setting, but whatever.
Yeah, Medusas exist in the D&D setting, but like
That's
they're
true,
not an
yeah.
ancient myth. It's like
Yeah.
a thing that exists out
Yeah,
in the world.
yeah. But a lot of the characters have like Greek names and stuff too. Like it's just so strange. Touch.
Yeah, it is an odd.
Yeah. I can't make sense of it, but anyway. Okay, cool. Well, I think we're good to go here. I will see you all tomorrow for the conclusion.
Sounds good. Have a great
Yeah.
afternoon,
Yeah.
everyone.
All right.
Easy.
Bye.